What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? We are now just 3 weeks away from Alabama returning to action. Who is the best player in Alabama history to wear number 3? Who is your favorite player to wear that number? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section of today's video. Coming up on today's show, we are breaking down some of the key takeaways that Kalen DeBoer had to say during his press conference after Alabama's first fall scrimmage. They went out there today and it seemed like they got a lot of really good work in, and Kalen DeBoer had some positive things to say during his post-practice press conference. The first thing of note, I think, here was there was a little bit of injury news here. Jaeden Roberts and James Smith, both two guys that Kalen DeBoer noted that did not scrimmage today. Jaeden Roberts, unfortunately, he's been dealing with stuff going all the way back to last year. Kalen DeBoer just didn't get really specific with it. He just said he's dealing with some stuff, not going to be a long-term thing. James Smith, we remember back during spring practice. He was out during spring practice. Kalen DeBoer simply said he was coming along there, though. So, when it comes to Jaeden Roberts, this one does make me a little bit nervous. Thinking back to last year, he was in and out of the lineup all last year, and Gino Vandermark had to go in there, and, those two guys were kind of shuffling in and out all last year. So we're going to continue to monitor this because it does not it makes me a little bit worried that we continue to see the same thing over and over again with Jaeden Roberts, a guy that I think is a very, very good football player, but he just hasn't been able to stay on the field and get those reps. They had Cam Dewberry at left guard today and then Gino Vandermark at that right guard spot today. Kind of makes me wonder, is there really even going to be a battle at that left guard spot if Jaeden Roberts can't stay healthy? Because Gino Vandermark would then have to play at that right guard spot. So it really does make me wonder, about the health of Jaeden Roberts. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer said it's not going to be a long-term thing. But then last year, he was injured all last year too, and they never actually put him on the injury report. So, this Jaeden Roberts injury stuff really does make me a little bit nervous. So let me know what you guys think. Are you worried about Jaeden Roberts not being able to stay healthy? Type Y for yes or N for no down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, next up, obviously, the quarterbacks was the first question that was asked today. How did they do? Kalen DeBoer had a lot of praise, especially for Ty Simpson and Austin Mack. He kind of mentioned Keelon Russell a little bit, but really does seem like those are your top two quarterbacks there. And then Keelon Russell, he's still, kind of getting the hang of things here. This is what Kalen DeBoer said about Alabama's quarterbacks through the first, what are we at now, 7 or 8, or 8 or 9, I think now, practices throughout this fall camp. Couple graphics here, so bear with me. He said the biggest thing with those guys, the quarterbacks, is that they have done a great job, first of all, taking care of the football. No picks today and a few touchdown passes. I don't know the exact number, but a few touchdown passes between all three of them. And the completion percentage over the course of camp for all three guys has been in that range that we want. We like to have a minimum of 65% completion percentage, and they just did a good job being consistent when they take care of the football. I think there's maybe 3 picks all camp when we talk about those 7-on-7 drills, the team drills. I might be off by 1, but probably not 2. But they've done a good job taking care of the football, and I think the first week, just a few missed plays, the last few practices, they're finding ways to get more of those explosive plays. I think command of the huddle, I think our two guys that have been around the longest, Ty Simpson and Austin Mack, they get in the huddle and they get to rattle off the play, and they're sharp and confident with it. Explosive opportunities. They got the ball there. They delivered the ball. And timing, I feel like very few times we were in a spot where we were not throwing on time, not confident with where the ball should be delivered. Now, Kalen DeBoer also had a very, big thing to say as well. It seems like that he's going to be naming a starting quarterback for Alabama very, very soon, saying by the second scrimmage he would like to make that announcement, or at least to the team anyways. We'll see if they actually, make it official and tell the media who's actually going to be the starting quarterback for Alabama. But he did say by that second scrimmage they would like to know who that starting quarterback is going to be. With Ty getting most of the buzz right now, I would assume that he is going to be named the starter there for Alabama, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be very, very, too long away. Probably next week. I believe it's usually Saturday when they end up doing those scrimmages. So I would say by next week, there should be, it should be known anyways to the team who's going to be the starting quarterback. We'll see if we, the fans, and Alabama media and everything like that will actually know who that starting quarterback is going to be before week 1. So with Ty, probably your favorite right now to be the starting quarterback for the Crimson Tide, what is your confidence level in Ty Simpson? I know last year, not a lot of people very confident in Ty, but I think what he's done through spring, through the summertime, and now through fall camp, I think he should be gaining a lot of confidence with you guys. I'm very confident in Ty Simpson this season, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Scale it for me 1 to 10 down in the comment section of today's video. All right, make sure you guys go check out this Alabama Columbia quarter zip today. It is still on sale. I would assume it's not going to be on sale once we get into the season, so make sure you guys snatch that up. If you need a new long sleeve Alabama, pullover, whatever you want to call it here, it was $90. Then it went down to $55. It's still on sale right now for just $45. So just go to chatsports.com/Bama QTR zip. It's QTR zip because it's a quarter zip there. I'll put that link down at the pinned comment of today's video, so it's very easy for you guys to go down there to the pinned comment and click on that link. It's also going to be down the third paragraph in the description of today's video as well. But it's chatsports.com/Bama QTR zip. You guys can get this Columbia quarter zip today for only $45. That's better than, it being $90. So make sure you guys get that today before it goes back up to that original price. Kalen DeBoer also had a lot of praise for Alabama's running backs in this first scrimmage today. He said Jam Miller started off really well, was hitting some holes, even called it one of the better showings that he's seen Jam have in one of Alabama's scrimmages since he has been the coach here at Alabama. He obviously, that kind of means the offensive line was doing really well. He mentioned that they were opening up some seams really early. He named Daniel Hill also as the dude that has been impressing as well. So in my opinion, I kind of think, just by what Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama coaching staff has said, it's going to be Jam Miller and Daniel Hill, I would assume, going to be your 1-2 punch there. And then we'll see who actually kind of works in as that third running back. He mentioned Dre Washington as a guy who has been consistent and is getting even more consistent. And he also talked about the fact that, sometimes he was getting kind of stuffed at the line of scrimmage, that being Dre Washington, but he was very good in just creating some of those extra hard-earned yards, whether it was 1 or 2 extra yards. That can really add up, especially, if it's 1st and 10, you get stuffed at the line of scrimmage, make it 2nd and 7, that's kind of a big deal there. So, he mentioned Richard Young just continuing to go out there and do those, Richard Young things is what he said. So I feel good about this running back room. Kalen DeBoer also mentioned the fact that every single one of those guys is doing a very, very good job in pass protection as well, and they're doing a good job being pass catchers as well. So just being versatile in this Alabama running back room is going to go a long way into which guy actually ends up getting more reps for the Crimson Tide this season. Takeaway number 4 here, pass rush versus the offensive line. The question that was kind of thrown out there to Kalen DeBoer was, hey, how is the pass rush doing? Because that is one of these biggest things that Alabama does have to work on, finishing some of those pass rush reps. They got a lot of pressures last year, but weren't really able to get a lot of sacks. They were in the lower half of the SEC in sacks last year. So, Kalen DeBoer talked about the offensive line. It seemed like the offensive line is playing a whole lot better right now than what we might have seen this time last year in terms of protecting the quarterback. He did mention LT Overton and Quay Russaw as guys that, are getting there, but still we want to see them being able to finish some of those reps. And I thought it was interesting, too. He also mentioned Jaeden Pierre as a guy that has been consistent and is doing really well here during fall practice at that Wolf position. There's been a lot of buzz out there if freshman Justin Hill is going to be able to jump Jaeden Pierre in that Wolf depth chart. And I think just Kalen DeBoer going out there and mentioning Jan Zapier as a guy that is, just being consistent in fall practice, that's going to go a long way for him. He also mentioned James Smith. Obviously, James Smith did not practice today, but he said, early on, he's been a guy in that interior who has done a very good job in terms of getting, pressure on the quarterback during some of those pass rush opportunities. It seems like these guys are getting close, but they got to just work on finishing, some of those reps. But it does seem like from what Kalen DeBoer said that the offensive line won the day in regards to, pass rush opportunities and just creating, or not creating pressure on the quarterback, but stopping some of that pressure on the quarterback. Make sure you guys are subscribed and locked into all Alabama football news. Make sure you are subscribed right here. It's totally free here at the Alabama Football Report, and we'll also be live for every single Alabama game this season. So do not miss out. Make sure you guys hit that sub button for me right now. Kalen DeBoer was also asked about the depth on this team right now, specifically at the wide receiver position is kind of what he opened up, talking about. He said Isaiah Horton today was making a couple really big plays, and then Rico Scott and Cole Adams was also, involved as well. He said Rico Scott was doing a lot of the little things correctly, and that's one of those things you really do love to hear. And when you're talking about the little things, to me, that means lining up correctly, not having some, stupid, penalties, pre-snap penalties, just excelling in the blocking game as well. He said Cole Adams really made a nice play today. So when it comes to those backup wide receivers, those are some of the guys that are really sticking out. And then he also talked about the offensive line. He talked about Michael Carroll and Jackson Lloyd being there as those second-team tackles for Alabama. And I think that's very, very impressive that you have some of those, freshmen coming in and being able to contribute. Obviously, it's not with the first team, but just the fact that they're getting up there and they are, being able to get some of those reps with the second team because, Ty Simpson's getting reps with the second team too. Austin Mack is getting reps with the second team. So just being out there with some of those guys, if something were to happen to Caden Proctor or Wilkin Formby, there's still question marks around Wilkin Formby, right? He had an up and down, a lot of down season last year, but by the end of the season, he started to pick it up a little bit more. So, I would not be surprised whatsoever. And Michael Carroll, pushed Wilkin Formby a little bit for that starting spot. So he's going to have to be on point for the rest of these fall practices and throughout the season because those two guys, although they are freshmen, they are right there, ready, I think, for playing action. So we'll see what happens, but really do love the depth that Alabama has added now with some of those younger guys at those tackle positions.